What happened?
Negative? Feels good, right? The weekend's supposed to be good.
Let's see, how thick
Brianna
the,
said to the group.
how thick the rough
Yeah,
is.
I'm sure this one will
I'm
have.
sure we'll lose a dozen balls.
When Tuesday, it was a swamp. But it was nice to be out.
There are other people on.
There's two people in the waiting room.
Oh, wait a minute, here we go.
Brianna said to the.
I don't know
group,
how to make that
"Doesn't
stop,
have
so I'm
AC."
shutting it off.
Thank you. I'm sure this one.
What is that?
Background
noise to me?
It's my phone. It reads my text messages to me, but this one particular text message, it's read to me like 13 times the exact same message. And I don't know how to make
Find
it
us on
stop,
its
so-
own, but apparently I had to find it for us.
Oh, now every time the TV comes on, I remember why I don't want to be in front.
So we have all three of our remote people on right now.
Hi, Cheryl Chamberlain.
Hi, everyone. How are you? Sorry it's so dark in my room. I don't know why it's so dark. I have the light on.
It's your suspicious background.
Hi, Felicia.
I have to mute everything so you don't see what a mess my house is with my grandchild. She's running roughshod over everything.
Hi, everyone.
I have to leave at 8.
Hi, Felicia.
Well, that might be something.
Do it. Let's aim
Give it
for
an
it.
effort, but I have to leave. So if you're not done. I'm
Kristen,
thinking-
are you on? I'm here. Okay, thank you.
Okay,
I can see you for some
Not
reason.
better.
Yeah, it says 4 people down in the.
Yeah,
bottom.
she's probably video blocked.
Oh,
All right.
we want to see your beautiful face.
So we just had a vote of confidence that we might be able to get a 1 hour meeting in this week. So
This month.
this month.
Don't say we're coming back next week.
So should we call this meeting to order? Or a motion to, we're to do a motion, right?
Do we know Bob?
Haven't, nobody responded to anybody that they weren't gonna be here.
Just Felicia and Kristen and Cheryl, who we already have. Yeah.
Fine.
Correct. So, I say we get started,
Yeah, we can
7
just get
o'clock,
started.
right? Yeah.
We can just start. There was a question on the minutes and how some things were phrased.
Yes, Kristen had mentioned some changes she'd like in regards to,
Yeah, just how her website URLs are characterized.
Yes, so I went on and Kristen, thanks for letting me know that I spelled your name incorrectly. So that has been corrected in the minutes. And then Sarah, I also corrected the spelling of your name in the previous minutes.
great, thank you.
You're welcome. And and then the statement that Christian submitted, I believe we have to approve the minutes with those changes. If everyone agrees that that is how we want it reflected.
That's good with me. I read it.
Yeah, somebody can make a motion to approve the minutes with the suggested language changes with that Kristen requested. And that
I
could be the
motion.
motion, so.
Accept
You move-
the meetings with the changes that Kristen suggested.
Okay.
Second.
And who's, is that Dave?
Yeah, that's me.
Okay, thanks.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone objecting? Okay, abstentions, good, that passed.
I will just abstain since I'm not taking the minutes.
Yeah, Felicia, if you could, if you do have that language, because if you can stick that in there and
It-
send
yep.
it back to me, I'll make sure it gets over to the clerk's office. I did send the clerk. They've
Yep.
got 3 months of minutes, so, and they said they'll put those in the town board member packets, I think, and post them, so.
Not a
Great.
problem. They're already done. I did it earlier
Okay.
today, so you're all set. Thanks.
And thanks for making that change.
Oh, sure.
Okay. You know, it just briefly, I want to go back to Felicia's email. I didn't respond first in regards to getting a card because I didn't. So I thought I'd wait a couple of days and then it never came. And
Huh.
so I didn't get one in the mail at all. I don't.
Okay.
I don't got one either.
Yeah.
I did.
I think,
Okay.
I have a feeling they're weak because I just got my planning board one and I've been sitting on there for almost 2 years.
That's for sure. Well, I think they're going through them, so,
Do they do that every year, do you think, Jen?
well,
Or
it's usually
just when you're new?
when you're new, they should send you a card.
Okay,
Send you something.
I did get a card last year when I
Yeah,
was. new
so you don't
to
need
board,
it
so-
again.
Okay,
You'll do it one time.
okay,
and
gotcha.
be done. Thank you. At least that's how they've always done it with me, but, yeah, I've only ever
Yeah.
signed one for each board.
Okay. All right, so let's dive into the agenda. We are going to kick off first with the community calendar discussion that we had approached the last 2 months because we have a guest with us today, Cheryl Chamberlain, who has been brought up and we all talked about what she might or might not say in the last month's meeting. So I want to say thank you, Cheryl, for joining us today and diving into the conversation a little bit. Cheryl and I did speak on the phone. Just to, briefly say what we've been talking about, but I did not want to dive too deep into that conversation because it needed to be had with everybody. So I just let her know we were in the early stages and really there was not much beyond that. And so Cheryl, did you want to kick off or?
Sure. Excuse me, I'm fighting a cold today and, it's just, the school year in May is extremely crazy. And I just got back from Orlando with some DECA students and it was a nonstop 5-day, extraordinaire. However, I was talking about Chrisman about, a lot about, internships. And your board had approached us at the high school about internships. We have a nice agreement with the town. We've been working with Pete Marston and we had 4 fabulous students do internships in the past year with the town board. And they basically, what they did was they ran through different departments in the town. Specifically honing in on what they were interested in. So we had one student who was interested in finance. So she was paired with all the finance committees at the town and she did gangbusters. She was part of the budget. She helped to put the budget together with some of the people who are her mentors. So I really think that if you're looking for a student to help with the Economic Advisory Board in particular, it might be part of the journey of a student learning about the various facets of the board, or of the town board or of the committees of the town board. We are having a meeting with our incoming interns for the summer and fall. So we are waiting for the school board budget vote on the 20th. And once the budget is approved, we can move forward with summer interns. For now, we cannot move forward with summer interns because the budget has not been approved. And so we have approximately 45 interns this fall, some of which who have not let me know what they would like to intern with. So what I like to do is I like to take students who are interested in political science, business, accounting, anything to do with business administration, logistics, and I like to pair them up with the town. And then we kind of write a plan up with whomever would like to become their mentor. So if somebody on the Economic Advisory Board would say like, okay, we'll take on a student and we can kind of, gear them toward what we're doing, and the advisory board with, what we're doing with our program. I think that would probably work. Again, I have to wait to meet with the students on the 28th of May. I know it's a lot of moving parts all the time with students. So I don't know what your board is exactly looking for. So I wanted to kind of lay that out there before you guys told me what you're looking for.
Can I get a couple of quick questions out of the way before we get into the meat of that? You'd mentioned that we don't have a budget passed yet, so we don't have a you know, a, kind of permanent thought process yet on the summer, but do you know when that typically happens?
Like a
May 20th is the board, the budget vote for
Okay.
the school board.
For the school
So,
board.
summers, because we run, typically we run our internship during the summer for, I'll back up a little bit. I'm sorry. I have my husband watching the baby out there because I'm the caregiver for my, my grandchild. Typically what we do is we have a National Academy of Finance at our school. And we have an internship that is between their junior and senior year. So we typically would run it during the summer. So students would do their capstone project, which was their internship, whether it was paid or unpaid, over the summer for the last probably 5 years. This year in particular, we were told that we had to wait on the school board budget to pass before we scheduled students for a summer internship. So we pushed all of our students, our NAF students, into the fall. And some of them were very unhappy because they wanted to do their internship over the summer.
Yeah,
Because that's when they have the time, right?
right, yeah.
So what we're waiting for is the school board to say, okay, the budget's passed, so we are having summer school, so we can run some of the interns during the summer. How many, I don't know yet. We're still working on that with our principal, Mrs. Kretz Harvey. And we typically, about 30 interns will do their internship over the summer. Speaking with the state, however, we can run our students' hours beginning in the summer for fall semester. So we can start students in July and they can do an internship through July, August, September for the fall semester, which means that we can, typically we wouldn't do this, but in this year, I think that's what we're going to have to do because many of our students rely on doing their internships over the summer. So we discussed this with a few of the state officials because our internship is also a part of the New York State CTE program. So we have a lot of, like I said, a lot of moving parts, but most of our students will be in the fall. Probably about 10 to 15 will be doing an internship starting in the summer, I hope. I know
Okay.
I'm still kind of in a flux. That's why I really didn't want to meet until I knew more about our summer and fall after the budget vote. But now I do know that we are definitely meeting with students on the 28th after school. We have a meeting with all of our interns, prospective interns for the summer and the fall, and we will be discussing placements at that time. So I kind of wanted to have an idea of what you were looking for as far as an intern, so I could bring that to the table to the students on the 28th. So are
Okay,
you looking
great.
for a summer internship, a fall internship, a whole year internship? That's kind of what I guess my question is.
Yes, and I did, like I mentioned to the group, we didn't have too much depth of our conversation because that was for us.
Exactly.
But I did share with you that we didn't have a lot to share. So that was, you know, that is for the group to come up with. You know, we had discussed this a bit in the last 2 meetings, but we didn't come to anything conclusively. It was a lot of back and forth, you know.
Right.
Do we need to hear from you first before we decide? Should we decide before we go to you? You know, do
Okay.
we want to do something on the town website? Do we want to create our own? You know, there were all these things and nothing conclusively came of it. So we did
So
hear
I guess I can start with the New York State requirements. So the New York State requirement for an intern is 54 hours of non-paid internship experience. We are an approved program at Grand Island High School for the CEIP, which is a career exploration internship program, which is 54 hours of an unpaid internship experience and 27 hours of classroom experience. So they get their seat time and then they get internship time non-paid. We have an agreement with the school district that they are fully insured on site. However, workman's compensation for wherever site they're on must be in effect. So that was just discussed this past year at a New York State meeting, that workman's compensation, for instance, the town would cover your workman's compensation. We insure students' liability on site, and it's an unpaid experience. We also have a work-based learning program at Grand Island, which is a paid experience. And some students do choose to do that program, which they hold down a job. It's more hours, it's more of an hour commitment. It's 120 hours within a semester. And that is done on a workplace where they turn in their paycheck stubs. I call it paycheck stubs, I'm old school, but they turn in those things and they get credit for working, but they also have seat time in the classroom. So I think the gray area for a lot of organizations is, well, do they want to get paid? Not necessarily. Students are looking for experience and to put on their resumes. And Anna Cipletti, who was a student who did an internship with the town this past summer, had such a great experience. She's in our top 10. I believe she's our valedictorian or a salutatorian. She's 1 or 2. She had such a great experience with the town. She did various organizations and she did jobs, I could say, and she had a great experience. So, and she wasn't paid. So that gives you a little bit of background as to what the kids are looking for. The kids who want the paid internship experience, they will go and find a job, but the kids who want to put something on their resume will definitely choose the non-paid experience.
Ms. Chamberlain, Cheryl, how would you, based on the information that was provided to you from Bob and also from Sarah, how would you describe the role that we are asking for? And again, it's relatively broad, but
yeah,
if you're going to present that to a student, how would you describe that?
One of the things I just had a meeting with the Rotary of Grand Island, and one of the things they were looking for was social media presence. And we don't encourage our students to do social media presence. First of all, their Chromebooks don't allow them to be on social media. I'm sure you all have heard that next year their cell phones will be restricted greatly per state law. So our hands are going to kind of start being tied where social media is concerned. So if somebody's looking for a student to work on their website or their social media, I'm going to say that's probably not what our students are going to be good at. They will give you great feedback on what does work on social media, but they will probably be more in the trenches. They want to see what's going on. They want to be part of the experience of the decision making, maybe for the town. They want to be included in decisions that affect their community. And for the majority of the students that we've put in any government role, that's what they're looking for. They're not looking to be on a device, if that makes sense, because that's what the Rotary is looking for. And I had to tell them, unfortunately, that's not where we're trying to put. There's students who are definitely learning social media marketing, and we try to do that in class, but we can't promote it. I wouldn't put any student in high school in charge of anyone's social media at this point. College students, yes, they've been vetted.
We weren't really looking for social media marketing as much as we're looking for calendar. And so making sure that the calendars are up to date. So it's kind of like a pseudo, and anyone can correct me if I am speaking out of turn here, but it would kind of be like a pseudo project management kind of internship position, if that makes sense.
That does make sense. And that is something that they could definitely handle. I have a few students in mind right now. One of the students we have just, she was elected to our school board as a liaison for our school board. So she will be attending school board meetings. She would be the perfect person to be in a role at the school board as well as the town board. So I kind of feel like I have students that have that trajectory, excuse me.
Mhm.
Sorry, I have a granddaughter that is very
It's all
mobile at
good.
this point. So,
It's all good.
No worries.
my
appreciate your
daughter
time,
works for the
Sarah.
FDA for the bridges and she works 3 to
Don't
11.
worry.
Yes.
Um,
But are there any other questions that I can answer for any of you? I don't know if we're the right fit. But I could definitely tell you that there will be students that will definitely give you hours. They might not do the whole 52 hours with the Economic Advisory Board, but maybe they do, 12 hours with your board and 12 hours with another board, and kind of work together. I know that you work together with other boards at the town, correct?
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's mostly just making sure that we have information that is available to the community. And how do we do that? What's the best way to do that? So again, it's more looking at, project management. What information should we be putting out there? What is the best platform to use to do that? And then how often does
Social
that
media.
information have to be updated?
Right.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
not I'm not thinking, social media per se, but
Yeah.
really it's just in an internal calendar,
Right.
that is
And
accessible when
Felicia, I
needed.
had this conversation with Sarah the other
Yeah.
day, and we don't really have a town newspaper anymore. The Dispatch is kind of,
Yeah,
Isle
Yeah.
de Grand, I think might take on a different persona very soon. And
yeah,
I think a lot of our community members look to the schools for their information. So if that's something that we can work with a student, that a student is projecting your calendar to the parents via the school, because we do
Mhm.
have a lot of information that goes out to the parents of
Mhm.
our school district. That might be a great way to segue. I'm just thinking out of the box right now, but
Yeah, yeah,
we do a lot with, with our school calendar.
perfect.
Otherwise, I don't know if snail mail is not working lately. I know that a lot of the parents are on social media, a lot of our community members are as well. And
Right. I think,
that's the crux
yeah.
of everything, is the social media part.
So I
Yes.
guess again, outside of the social media piece, is there a way to have a link to a specific calendar that is used by this advisory board, but maybe also accessible by other advisory boards as well? Like, we have to figure out a linkage to be able to get information out to the community so that everybody is represented and folks know what's going on
Yeah.
outside of just looking at the school district website.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, we don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Cheryl, I think
yeah.
in our perfect world, we were trying to figure out, how do we build the buckets of different community members? So we've got our community members that are parents, and they're very deep into the school district, and that's the calendar that they're relying on. And
Yeah.
then so they go to the district website. Then we have our business members who are desperately relying on the Chamber of Commerce, and they are trying to figure out how do they manage a calendar that services the business members. And then we have seniors who are looking to see, what's happening at Nike Base, but they also want to know what's happening at the town board, because they are invested now. They're retired and they've got the time to care about the community, and they're coming to the town website to see what's happening. So we have all these buckets of community members that are going to different places. And we're trying to figure out, how do we make the town website the main hub, and then have everybody be able to get into the different buckets, whether it's business, school, travel, visitors.
Because currently each of those separate buckets don't have the other information.
Right.
So we'd like to have one
Exactly.
spot that has all of it. Yeah.
I just wanted to add in
Is
at
there
the,
a way that this conversation could go to the town board, school board meeting? that they
that's
have?
what I was trying to, in our last long range meeting, Pete and Rhonda, where we were talking about the internship program, And they
Right.
asked if, they had told me about you guys meeting and asked me if I would attend that meeting with you guys. And so
Mhm.
I was gonna ask tonight for the EDAB or whatever, if you guys would like me to be added on, that maybe I could get some information from that meeting to see where the town is planning on going with their interns, what exactly the supervisor and the town board are looking from them and where we can fit in. And then Cheryl have more information on that level, so we can bring it down a little bit. And I'm willing to bring this conversation to add into, Rhonda is very aware of it because she sits on the board and she's the one that brought it up to me.
And this
Said,
is
hey,
for
Jen.
planning.
Yes, the
Jen,
long,
when
yes.
is the next town board, school board collab meeting?
Uh,
That they meet together?
We would like to look on a calendar.
That had all that information.
There's no calendar.
yeah,
There's no
It's in
doubt.
June.
Okay, so stranger things have happened. In the past, we've had students, like Gabby Bergstrom, for instance, who, you know, kind of made a way with linking different organizations together as a DECA project. I'm taking over Grand Island High School DECA once again. I gave it up for a few years because I'm running some of the state level organizations, but I'm coming back to grassroots. And I could see if a student or two was interested in creating a project to be presented to the town at a level for the town, but it would also be a state national project to link calendars and the community together. This is I'm spitting out an idea right now, but I can see that a student could take this on as what's called a DECA manual project, where they could take the various organizations, meet with the various organizations, get all the calendars together and put it maybe in one spot. How we would get it out to the community is another issue. But I have a student in mind who's a go-getter who might want to do this. I don't know if it's something that would interest you, that maybe they could attend the school board, town board meeting and introduce that idea as a possible school project, DECA project, that might benefit the community as a whole. I
Yeah.
don't know if that's something that would interest everyone.
Yeah.
It'd be free.
It's
And,
either June 9th or Monday, the 23rd of June. I'm not sure which one.
28th.
June 9th or
Say that
28th?
23rd.
Or it's either
23rd.
it's either the 9th or the 23rd.
But it's definitely a Wednesday in June.
It's usually towards the end of the month from what I can remember.
There's probably.
There's a lot of
There's 5
fifth weeks,
there's-
and they usually take a fifth week for a school board.
Right, it's a 5 Monday week. so
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Maybe it's
Um,
Wednesday, the 25th, June 25th.
Jose, I think that would
Okay.
be great because they're having that meeting with Cheryl beforehand. And we could throw it out to them at that meeting that
I
they would want
mean,
to present
yes.
something, and then you could say, hey,
Pipe
this is
up.
what EDAB's doing, and they want to present at the combination meeting if Cheryl feels it's appropriate, or she can find a student that's interested.
I'll pipe up
Yeah,
all
it
day.
says,
He's a piper. And who's
Yeah,
there
they
to
don't
take him
go-
seriously with
they
those
don't,
glasses?
they don't have a June,
man
they have a
time.
June 2nd meeting, but it's a Board of Education, and then they don't meet again, it says until July. But if they're meeting with the town, I'm just looking at their meeting schedule on the school district website. But I mean,
It's
I
happening
think,
in June, but Rhonda Deal will send something out to Dr. Graham and then the board, and then there's 200,000 emails going back and forth.
Yeah.
And then eventually someone decides on a date, and then I ask, which one did we pick? So it's
Okay.
gonna be in one of those 2 weeks, either the week of the June 9th or the week of the
Okay.
23rd.
okay. I could, yeah, I definitely can meet with students beforehand, which I'm going to do. And I have a student in mind that might be interested in doing something like this as a community project for DECA. So it would be twofold. They would use it as their internship, and because it's a DECA project, they would also present it to to DECA at state competition next year. So they would basically have a timeline for everyone from start to finish. So they would, they would meet with, maybe they'd come to your first meeting in July. Do you guys meet over the summer?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Okay, come to your first meeting, and give, somebody's got their hand up. Krista. Do you have your hand up? I'm
Oh,
sorry.
yeah, I didn't want to interrupt.
No, it's okay.
That's okay. No,
Oh,
finish
digital
your
hand.
thought. I was
so-
trying to be non-obtrusive.
So no, I love that, the little hand. So what they would do is they would garner a timeline for the project. So we're gonna meet with all of these, the calendar facilities. We're going to get one calendar together. We're going to present it to the town and school board and community chamber of commerce. And then we're gonna facilitate it somehow on a website. This would be all have to be organic for the student. Obviously with a teacher supervising, but they would definitely have a timeline, probably having to finish it in a 4-month period by December. So, because that's when their manual projects are due in January. So it would be I could start them in June and they could work through the summer. And then that would be their quote unquote internship, meeting with various groups that would put together their calendars, give it to the student. The student would then compile all the data, put a master calendar together, and be creative and think of a way to get it out to the community somehow, some way, whether it's through the town website, through the school district website, through a brand new website. That's a TBD for the student. But I think it's definitely a doable program, and it would be kind of easy for them, to be honest with you. They would just have to meet with the various boards. So I don't know if that's something that would be interesting to you, Kristen.
Cheryl, hi, I'm Kristen. I think you've totally hit the nail right on the head in terms of what we've been talking about.
Okay.
This aggregation of these calendars that doesn't exist right now, so that the information is there in a format, and this is part of what maybe the getting into the nitty-gritty of this project is, how can we aggregate it, and what will that look like? Where does it go eventually? Where does it live? Is it a website? Is it an app down the road?
I agree.
But
I agree.
yeah, because and also we've talked about it in terms of also being able to attract off-island people to the island for island
Mhm.
events. If we have this location where people can know where to go. We've talked about whether ultimately the format will be some type of like layering, where if you're only interested in school events, you can click on the school tab and
Right.
it only highlights school, things like that. And I think in terms of the student, I think it would be a great opportunity. We would, we talked about this. I don't know what's set in, we don't really have anything set in stone, as Sarah mentioned from the beginning, but we would invite them to participate in our meetings. And this would be very much collaborative, wanting to have the student have a real voice in shaping what the project is. So I think it'd be a really good opportunity.
That you say project is the key word here, Kristen, because DECA has specific project-based learning manuals. They're called manuals. They're basically like business plans. It's like a 20-page plan. It's not just a one-pager. These students do a lot of research. They take their time. They have to do a big presentation. So the presentation to the board would just be fuel for them to present at state and hopefully at national conference. We just got back from a national conference with students, and the presentation levels are very worthy of a project such as this. As a matter of fact, I think this kind of project sets students apart from the other students who just do a project on, Walmart, because it is so community-based, and it's so multifaceted. I do have a great relationship with Eric Feeblecorn of the Chamber, and I'm sure he would be more than happy and willing to work with a student on this and give them whatever information they needed. Otherwise, I'll break his legs. Let's see. No, I'm just kidding.
I'll help you.
He takes Krav Maga for my son-in-law at Hybrid Defense here on Grand Island. So I always kid with him that I could break his legs. He probably could break mine, but we joke around a lot. But so I have a good relationship with him, and I think that through my 25 years here at Grand Island, I have a good relationship with most of the people here on the town board and the school board, where I could help the student get the information that they need. It's just getting the student to agree to this project.
Yeah, along those lines, I wanted to ask too, you mentioned, and I know we've talked about some other dates, but a meeting coming up with the students on May 28th. Is there, I have a couple questions. I always have a lot of questions.
That's okay. You
But
go. So do my students.
would, in terms of that meeting coming up with the students, do you just sort of like verbally message what the opportunities are for students, or would you like us to actually put something down on paper about the scope of what we're looking at?
I think that, well, that meeting, to be honest with you, is with all the internship students for the year. So what we do is we gather them together, we give them their paperwork, we take in their working papers, their driver's license. There's a lot of rules set down by the state that we need all this documentation. Then we talk about their placements. Do you want a work-based learning placement? Do you want an internship placement? And that's where we kind of make the decision. So I have a few students that, we follow them throughout the program. So I know that they would be capable enough to do something of this scope. And I also know that they're also DECA members. So not all of our interns are DECA members. They don't necessarily have to be a DECA member to do this, but that's kind of the incentive, because what we do is when students do a manual like this, we fundraise enough, because I also run the school store, is I give them money to go to the state conference, and I give them money to go to national conference because we fundraise through our sales. So it's an incentive for them. And I also offer a scholarship for the students who make nationals all the time. So it's incentive based. I'm not gonna lie. You have to dangle the carrot in front of some of these kids, most of these kids. So I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but I think we have a good idea here. I'm going to hone it down in the next couple of days and kind of make a little plan, and maybe I can email that out to your board and kind of show you what the layout is for the DECA project. It's a really nice scope and sequence that you can follow, that the student can follow, but that will do what you need them to do. And I think that there's a lot of moving pieces, but this project can probably encompass that. I just I got to make sure I find the right student to do this.
That's
Yeah,
helpful, Cheryl.
That's wonderful.
I was just
Yeah.
going to ask, what's the next step? So would that be it then? We wait to see this timeline from you?
So yeah, so tomorrow what I'll do is I'll send you, can I send it to Sarah and then she can send it out to everyone? Is that
Sure.
okay? Because she's right in my email. I'll send her the DECA, it's basically a project, and it's a community-based project. So what the student does is they have to do the research, they have to get the chapter involved, which means that other DECA students could help them if need be. And but mostly they do it on their own. But they can start it now. They don't have to wait to start it. This could be something that we give them the idea, and then they start building the project idea. So I'm going to talk to, I have 3 students in mind right now that could facilitate this, they have enough, let's put it this way, they have enough
Chutzpah.
tenacity.
Yeah, they're hungry, there's not many students who want to do stuff like this, so you really have to be, but they're also going to be interns, so, which is great, so they can use this as their internship piece, they can start it now, they could do it over the summer and into the fall, and then have a presentation by
We have a vote.
December for you.
That
So
sounds
they would
good.
have enough
Sounds really good.
time to gather all the
I don't know
information.
if we need to vote on anything. We're not
Yeah.
perfect fit, so.
Cheryl, I just want to mention if something else opens in a different direction or you come about, we have a funding opportunity for this too, so.
Okay.
If you see a different way, we have some
Sure.
funding for this too, so just keep
Okay.
that in mind.
Yeah, right now, if there's funding, it would, totally for the student. I
Yeah,
don't
just
know
so you
what kind
know,
of funding.
We do have some, we have, but you sat on our board for a year, so we
Yeah.
have some budgetary money, so, that's open.
Okay, all right, I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice, but they, there's one student in particular, I was going to give this student a project to do with personal finance in the elementary schools, which is very worthy. But I can see him doing more with this. I think this would be more that he could sink his teeth into, not saying that elementary students don't need personal finance, but a third grader, doesn't need to know how to budget yet. We were just going to implement that as a program for our elementary schools, but we were talking about different projects and I didn't have anything else. So this is something that I'm going to offer him. His name is Max Zentz, Zentz. He's a swimmer at Grand Island. He's a junior, rising senior. He went to our national conference in a leadership capacity. He learned a lot of leadership tools and he wants to bring it back to Grand Island. He's very involved in the community. So I'm going to talk to him personally tomorrow before I talk to anybody else, because I just want to offer to him first, because I think he would have the,
That sounds
like
great.
you said, the chutzpah to do this. But otherwise, I do have some other students in mind as well.
Okay, thank you. This is, we were just, we obviously trust your opinion. You've been doing this and I know how close you are with the students. You've worked with my daughter and a lot of kids, but we
Yeah.
appreciate this a lot. And we didn't really know what direction. And it's kind of why we don't really have anything for the most part, but figuring you would.
I
come
think,
up with-
yeah, and you know
would
what,
come up
and
with a
Jen, I
roadmap.
really appreciate that so much, because I think a lot of people look to interns as a savior. And unless they have a project that has a beginning,
Yeah.
a middle, and an end, they really don't
Mhm.
have a purpose. So that's why I
get
love
you.
DECA, because it gives them a purpose. So I
Yes.
hope you guys don't mind that I'm infusing that into it as
No,
well.
we were looking
Yeah.
for a roadmap,
Yeah.
and that's why, Bob Christensen really said, nope, we talked to you first kind of thing. And I said, back and forth. And so this is exactly what we were.
And
looking
where
for.
is he tonight? He's not here.
He did message me.
Oh.
It is his wedding anniversary. He's at dinner with his wife.
Oh,
He-
nice.
He's
so
a
he's
pretty lady, I don't
excused-
blame
He
him.
is excused for the evening, so.
Well, I hope I can help you. I will be in touch. I'll send you the specs tomorrow, from our DECA man, or from National DECA on the specs for the project, to see if that coincides. Like I said, it's like a business plan, so,
Yeah.
you might think it's, it really is what you're looking for. And then we will go from there as far as hopefully getting a student in the next 2 weeks.
Great,
That
Cheryl.
sounds
Thank
really
you
good.
so much for your time today. We really appreciate it and all the input, and we look forward to this moving forward.
Sorry, my cat and my granddaughter are yelling in the background. I apologize.
We didn't hear them at all. They've been great.
It's a pleasure
All
seeing
right.
you all.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
I'll be
Thank
in
you.
touch. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that was great.
That was great. There's a lot of.
Yeah.
That really was. Yeah, I really appreciate how much time and thought she's put into this. I mean, she came prepared, so.
Yeah.
Gave us a lot of good thought.
So in overview, in long range, we go around someone from every board. And so when I was mentioning with the EDAB, what we're working on, saying a review. And that's where Rhonda and that said, hey, we're having the intern thing here. Peter wanted you to get on board with some of this, but if EDAB, and I said, of course, but I have to talk to you or from someone from EDAB, I'll have them come or whatever, but they're planning, that's coming soon, so however you guys want to work that out too, if someone else wants to attend, or if you want me to get information and bring it here, I'm more than welcome to, from the town level.
Yeah,
What they're looking at or what they have in mind.
for a different intern.
Yeah, they're doing the whole internship program. It's not, it was just, they knew that we were kind of somewhat talking, so they, Rhonda jumped and said, Pete wanted you to maybe get involved on this on a level. And I'm like, okay, but then when I was going, I'm like, well, with the EDAB, I said, yeah, you know, I'm more than willing to come to that meeting, but
It won't interfere in any way with us moving forward.
no,
right?
no, it's
Yeah.
just, it's just for information.
Yeah,
And
great.
to keep us in the loop as to what the town's doing and so that whatever I can add in, I will add in now that we are looking to do this with Cheryl, and I told them that you guys were meeting with her, so.
Great.
That was the most information.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
great. Thanks, Jen.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving forward, our next big conversation on the agenda is regarding the community art project and the traffic control boxes. So that was an exciting conversation last month, and so I think Jose, which one of you have more information for us tonight?
Well, I have who owns which ones and I'm happy to engage. Obviously, the Grand Island ones are easy, the DOT. I'll engage with the Traffic Advisory Board guys. They know everybody. We could get that done. But I need a resolution from the EDAB saying that this is what you guys want to do, and then I'll slap it on the agenda and get it approved by the town board. And then it's a sanctioned project and we can move forward.
Right, because we were talking 2 or 3 maybe to tackle initially, yeah.
That sounds good.
Well,
We wanna, we wanna kind
We'll
of dip
we'll
into
say
this.
we want to do them all, and then we can pick and choose which ones we
Yeah.
do.
Okay.
But if we pick a couple, then I don't know what the downrange, I doubt anyone would care if it's successful, but might as well just say, hey, we want to do the most visible, the most
Yeah.
high
Right.
traffic ones. And eventually maybe all of them.
it was the expense, right? That we were curious, like,
Mhm.
what would this run us
Yeah,
if we were to
kinda.
do a bunch or a couple?
Seemed like there's a lot of already, you said the one town already had a.
Yeah, Amherst summed
form
it
and
right
a-
up. This
yeah.
is good. And then I have an application from Norwalk,
Oh,
Connecticut, I think.
for the artist?
Yeah.
Oh,
and
okay.
It just breaks it right on down. The honorarium, I think it's called, was $200 to the artist, but ours would
Okay.
be different since it's more of a contest, which I
Mhm.
love.
Mm-hmm.
And then paints, it was Rust-Oleum primary colors plus white, black,
Mhm.
about $100 in materials.
Oh, it's very inexpensive
Yeah,
project then. huh?
Yeah.
What, how do they handle like
Per box, I assume.
vandalism and repairs and stuff
Mhm.
like that?
Lock
'Cause
them
that's-
up, put them in the joint.
Well, I mean, I know you, I know you got those connections, but I'm just saying, I mean, it's,
Yeah, that's a great question.
I mean, it's just we had this beautiful,
Mhm.
decorated box and all of a sudden somebody comes and sprays on it.
Yeah.
What's the
One of-
mechanism and maintenance?
The reason this came up
fix.
was to
Right.
sort of deter that in the beginning when New York State said, okay, here's the plan. That was one of their things they were trying to tackle was the signs and, everything you see constantly pop up on the poles and stuff like that. So that'll be something.
I
that-
just wanted to
So,
consider.
if follow
I don't know the
through.
Grand Island's well known.
I was wondering the
Yeah,
same thing,
right,
Jose. Do we
like
have that? I didn't want to sound naive, but do
I
we
mean,
have that on the island?
They do the bridge and stuff like that, yeah.
They're up
We've
there at
had
cars.
things written. on the
Somebody will
side
talk
of
about it and
grocery
then we'll take care
stores
of it.
and So it is a good thought because if it does
Mhm,
get
definitely.
vandalized, now it's how are we going to fix that?
Yeah.
Because it's gonna
We
be
just need to
our
have that built.
point.
Yeah.
Well, is
yeah.
it something that will
Um,
come back to what the original color box
Yeah.
is? Is it ask the artist to come in and fix it?
Yeah.
First
I
off.
mean,
Yeah.
If they seal it too with some kind of a
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's a good thought.
white
Coat
coat,
something.
You never know.
Who was the entity, the town entity that supports the traffic boxes? Was that, somebody said it was the parks
Dick
or was it
Cross.
maintenance?
Highway Department handles the Grand Island owned ones, and then the New York State DOT handles the New York State ones. So. there's
So
a list here.
we're only decorating the Grand Island ones, not the New York State Department ones, correct?
We want to do.
Well, here's the problem, the best ones are DOT owned, right? The ones in the most high traffic, more visible locations. The Grand Island ones are kind of, baseline and love. Nobody's
We have
walking
New
across
York
the
State-
And.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's already been approved.
Yeah.
No doubt, no
Yeah.
doubt. It's a New York State
So
program.
it's already been approved. So isn't it, so
Well,
if
it
it's
hasn't
already been
but I'll
approved, then
get
there
it
should be,
Or no,
I just need a resolution
Yeah.
to say, hey, the EDAP board, not just Jose wants it.
right,
many
but wouldn't there be but wouldn't there be a mechanism for maintenance within the approval? If it's already been approved?
Possibly, the thing with the state, I mean, we could get the town to do that, but the state is not gonna take on any additional responsibility. So they inspect them. They might give us a call and say, hey, your thing is destroyed. Have a nice day. But they're not gonna send a crew to fix it or clean it or anything, unless it affects the functionality of so we're gonna have to
You never
maintain
know,
that.
plow comes by with gigantic chunks of ice and
Mhm.
scrapes half of the side of it off, kind of thing. What
They're
do
not
you
gonna
do?
Okay.
repaint it, you know, they're just
So
gonna
to
say,
have a thought, it's a good thought of.
Yeah, I'm just thinking we just need to.
Start to
I
end.
don't want to think about the end or the.
No,
what
yeah.
happens in
but
6 months after it's all
Not-
done. I'm just thinking as we're kind of processing.
We want it to be
through.
a
we
successful
discussed it
project,
probably
yeah.
with artists and stuff, there's gotta be a durable way of
Has to.
producing this type of thing, because it happens all over the city.
Gotta get sealed. It's gotta
Yeah,
get.
there's
you gotta
gotta be
able
a
to
way
seal
that, yes, it can be cleaned,
Yeah, it's exciting.
and maybe there is some sort of
Right.
cleaner that they use, I don't know.
right. Worst case scenario. it
Okay,
goes
so
back on the list
I
for the next-
guess,
Can I take a picture of that?
I guess my
Here's a
question
whole
is,
bunch of
before,
samples,
Thank you.
too. Yeah, those are Amherst first year.
Go ahead.
so I have a, guys, I have a question, and it's just about the maintenance, because that's really important, because we don't want any vandalism, but we do know that that is a possibility of happening. And then we also don't want, if the items, if the boxes get vandalized, there to be a lag in cleaning them. So can we discuss who would be responsible for the maintenance?
But we can discuss it, I just don't know how it would fit in.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, so if they're DOT owned, will they, I mean, they're gonna let, obviously, an artist come in and paint it.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's not written on that New York State form somewhere.
I was looking like.
I'm sure it's probably, something's on there where they've turned the responsibility over. Now we've signed this state, I'm
Yeah.
sure they've covered their whatever in one way or another. But we should know that or look
Hmm.
through that.
I was similarly
Yeah.
thinking about if we're, if thinking about the repainting as fixing, I was also wondering for people that have already done this, is there like a repainting every
Oh,
couple of years or
yeah,
like,
or
does
you
that
just
last
forget about it.
forever?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, what's the
Right.
cycle of the project?
I
is
would
what
say
I'm
that's something
curious.
that, if EDAB pushes this and it gets it done, which I think would be awesome.
Yeah.
Then it needs to be on an annual, maybe a quarterly agenda to discuss it. And that's something where team members can at least go around and say, hey, we identified 3 of these, they're a problem.
Mm.
Maybe we just put it out to a volunteer group and say, the cleanup Grand Island, it could be added to that list if it's
Yeah.
something, hey, on cleanup Grand Island, we're gonna assign 6 people to these poles to wipe them down and, or get these people that or get the art department to continue doing projects, updating them and modifying them or fixing them and different things like that. I mean, I think there's stuff, if we get it done,
Yeah,
then those pieces can fall in. The key is getting it done.
yeah, I think so.
Forgive me.
I don't
if
think it's
this
a
was on
barrier. Yeah, I'm not saying that it's a barrier. I'm just saying that we
So
should
we gotta
know.
think about it, no doubt, no doubt.
Yeah.
They have a thing in here on this number 4 of this city one that's in here. The artist and organization transfers all rights.
Yeah.
And that it talks about in here, anything as repairs or distortion or anything, the city has the right to have or make such repairs, even if repairs constitute a distortion, mutilation, or modification under this, blah, blah, blah. So basically, it sounds like on here that whoever's in charge of this board is the one that, whoever is in charge of this program says, hey, we have ultimate rights to it, you can't, but if something, you either have to fix it, and if you don't in a timely manner, then we're gonna, kind of what we were talking about,
Yeah, that might just.
any intellectual property, yeah.
So great.
Yeah, yeah, I'd love to have some sort of program cycle involved in the conversation. Not like the fixing is definitely a part of it, but do we want to if we just start off with 2 or 3, do we create a plan where we'll do 2 or 3 every year until they're all done and then circle back to the
And start
beginning
them
one.
again, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Refresh
thinking.
them or update them or
Yeah.
however.
How
you
many
so-
total? You said 6 DOT.
There's,
Just says the curator will maintain the painted
town.
design throughout the term of, they kind of get an agreement of how long they have the box. Maintenance shall be constructed to mean removal of graffiti, repair of scratches and fading, peeling or paint. Final artwork must be covered with an
I
anti-graffiti
think by
coating.
engaging with the school, you do the,
Yeah.
do the
But-
contest or whatever when it's
Yeah.
done.
Oh,
and you
yeah,
Engage with the school art program and say, we have these, we want you guys.
It
to help
says
us with that."
anti-graffiti
but
coating.
it kind of sounds like it gives it to the artist that they have, that's your box for 2 years. We agree on what it is. You have to have some kind of thing over it. Something happens, we are gonna ask you to whatever, up until such and such, and then if we move on or however we,
Yeah,
make.
And you said, did I hear you
I
just,
think we have a
Dave,
lot of verbiage sitting in
I didn't-
here.
Dave,
I
did I
just
hear you
brought
just
that
now
in.
say
Yeah,
there's
it was great.
14 altogether?
Yeah, there's 14 on the list that Jose's provided.
Okay.
Yeah, those are all the traffic.
And the town, I mean, the town one's got some good, I mean, Baseline and Whitehaven. I
That's a
mean,
good
right,
one.
there's,
Yeah.
yeah, there's several that
And
are,
that's gonna go,
that's
that would go
pretty
hand in
good
hand
there.
with the hometown heroes, so.
yeah.
So if we could get Grand Island, I think the most important ones would be Grand Island Boulevard in Whitehaven and Baseline in Whitehaven, right? Because that's what we're trying to make our town center
Yeah.
Mhm.
as best as we can, which, you know,
Yeah, those will be the ones we start with the middle of town.
Yeah.
people will notice them, hopefully they like them, and then, the top, the one by Tops.
Yep.
And
You know someone's
see that
not
one?
gonna like it, right?
You know what? would be
Oh,
fun?
yeah.
When they're all done, if they were added on to the map when we do the garden walk of Grand Island. And so people drive by and look at the boxes as well as go to see the gardens, yeah.
hopefully maybe people walk, and then maybe we engage some of these businesses to add the garden walks.
Yeah.
Well, the town taverns doing all this kind of stuff. Ask them, say, why don't you create a little garden? We'll put you on the damn walk.
Yeah,
And then people can go in and watch
Yeah.
volleyball or do something and be
Yeah.
part of it.
yeah.
Check out this, do that.
Yeah, and then we can put it on our calendar, Jose.
And that person will go to every single board and add everything. to the
So do we need to come up with just like a scope on this? I guess is that next?
Yeah, what do you mean by a resolution they need from us?
So you guys will make a motion that the Economic Development Board wants to create a contest to paint boxes on Grand Island. All in favor? Yes.
Under the
That's it.
program
And
of
then
New
you
York
provide
State,
me the minutes.
26, whatever that is.
That's-
CM.
That will help.
Yes, I'm
You
on
know,
it.
that There's already
I
a
push it.
great.
Right.
With that as a
Paid
supporting document.
program.
So it's not
So,
just me wanting to
Felicia-
do it. it's-
Gotcha. So Felicia, just your minutes count for that resolution, just seeing that we voted on it. And so do I have a motion to approve us moving forward on the box painting project for Grand Island?
So moved.
Jen is the first motion. Do I have a second?
Yes.
Justin,
You brought
second?
it, you got at least.
We just need it, we just need it one. We just need one. We
Oh,
just
you
need it
do?
one,
Okay.
but we're good. So
Okay,
who
very
was who, it was Jen?
Jen, yep.
I'm not good with the procedural stuff.
Yeah.
Getting there.
It has to be- By Robert's rules, it has to be seconded.
There has to be a second.
And once
does-
it's seconded, now
there
there's
has-
discussion.
Justin.
Justin seconded.
it.
Yeah,
Justin seconded? Okay.
yes.
Discussion? Of the motion, it has to be,
Plenty of
all
discussion.
right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Objections? Abstentions? Unanimous, thank you.
Unanimous, yay.
So yeah, you just put that motion in, Felicia, with who made it, who seconded it, and unanimous vote. And then once you're clear, those minutes are done, you send them to me. Well, you send them to everyone, I get them any.
Be you're a voting member.
Then I'll slap.
I
it
am?
on the-
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Oh,
are.
okay, thank you.
I just,
I'll slap it on.
And
the-
I'll bring it up, if we have an opening, do you want to be a permanent voting member?
If you have an opening, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Okay, so very
Thank you.
exciting. Look at the two
Yeah,
things we
I'm
we
sorry, you
talked
should have
about
said that.
today.
No,
Been
that's
really
okay.
good. So I think we will move forward with that and then,
Start.
actually, Justin,
Yes.
can we float your material?
Definitely,
Because
definitely.
what we should do is start working on any edits or changes to
Circle the
make
ones
that
you
Grand
like,
Island
put
worthy.
them in,
I
and
really
then
like, and
quick
I don't
finish
know,
around,
this
like
is
that.
something we can discuss when we make it a little bit more official, but I really like making the boxes Grand Island themed.
Yeah.
It was super open-ended. It could be scenery, it could be a building, or, people, whatever they want, but I like we're having a Grand
I don't
Island
think this
theme
one
to the,
exists
to the
anymore.
paintings.
Yeah, each year Amherst is different. This year's
there a
Amherst.
No, there.
Amherst.
There
Right,
is.
we can
is
always
arts
add
and
on
culture.
throughout, but I think
Yeah.
to start with the Grand Island,
Yep.
it's a good opening into the
Yeah.
whatever. And if we foresee, we want to add something more, whatever,
Yeah,
but
those four.
I love it.
Yeah,
I think
me too.
Wayside
Very
Road
exciting.
is middle of town.
All right, so we have the committee reports up next on the agenda. Kristen, are you still with us?
She's online. but
Yeah, I'm
she's
here.
not.
Donation.
Oh, okay.
People
Did
would
you have
donate money
anything you
all
wanted
day
to
long.
share from your other committee?
We did have, oops. We had a, with the open space committee, we did have a meeting with the consultants. Can't remember the date.
Do you need these?
Last
or these
month.
were-
No, those are the applications
Okay.
I gave
For
you.
us, yeah.
that are pending. Take care, guys.
I,
Good night.
Traffic safety.
So we did have
We had one at the-
an update with the consultants, and which went very well. They're doing some really impressive work. One thing I'll follow up on is the meeting was actually held because there was a bit of a challenge finding a time that worked for everybody involved. And what wound up working was on the night of the conservation board meeting, the last conservation board meeting. So I don't know if it's posted. I think it was probably recorded. And that I don't know if it's posted on the town YouTube page, but if you're interested and if it is there, might be worth checking out. Just a lot. It was obviously like a lot happened, so it's kind of hard to condense it all, but they're making great progress, focusing on creating materials, creating a system, aggregating data from all these different locations in a way that the town will people in the town will actually be able to use. And a system that will continue to update itself over time. And the one thing that I will follow up on is whether and when there will be a meeting that will also have the other advisory boards that have representatives on it, like having a meeting with all those boards together for a progress update. It might be the next one. I need to go back and check my notes. I apologize. I don't have my notes in front of me from that meeting, but it was definitely good to have the conservation board folks there who aren't on open space, to have that update. So I'd like EDEB to have that opportunity as well. So
Yeah.
that's something I'll follow
Kristen,
up on.
Kristen, I'm sorry, I was looking something up when you first began your discussion. Which advisory board are you referring to?
This is the Open Space Committee, which is the
Open
inter-advisory board
Okay.
group that's working on phase 1 of the project, which is the natural resources inventory. And so our consultants are pulling data from just tons of different places, and the product they've created is really impressive, and this is just them getting started. So it was a very productive meeting and very impressive with what they've been doing.
Kristen, this viewable, usable product that you're talking about, is that sort of a behind the scenes product, meaning like for each of these advisory committees to use, for the town to use, or is it for an end user, like, you know, somebody traveling to Grand Island to see what they wanna, like we were talking about, you know, in terms of economic development? Which
Yeah.
user is it meant for?
In large part, it's meant for both.
Really?
It's something that we would like the in-house town departments to be able to use, especially, groups like planning board, when there's zoning or things like that come,
Yeah.
that come up. We don't have it sorted as to like procedurally how that will be worked into the existing procedures, but it's something that we're being, the consultants are being cognizant of how that will mesh with the existing systems that like engineering uses and other town departments use, but as well as it being something very nice and front facing in terms of the general public being able to access
Yeah.
at least most of it. There's certain things for a variety of reasons that you may not, like endangered species, that those locations are sometimes deliberately like not made public because they're endangered.
Right.
But for the most part, they're pulling from a lot of publicly available data. So the beauty of it is, rather than going to like 20 different places to
Yeah.
get the type of natural resources data that would be helpful to see, it pulls it all together in and there'll be like a series of viewable maps and other things like that come along with it that will be available for the public. So we're working on that. The consultants are working on that part as well. And I know that they've been in touch, at least I think with Tom DeGotti on the board, about some of these the way that it will interface with existing town systems. But Sarah, to answer your question, it's both
Yeah.
for the town to use and for the general public.
It occurs to me that it's very relatable to our earlier question on convening all the information for a calendar that's usable to everybody. It seems as though if we are looking to promote Grand Island from within, as well as to those that are with, outside the island, outside the river, I guess, we would want them to know what events are happening, as well as what places that are always static here and wonderful. So it seems as though the information should be correlated, whether it be shared links on the same site or something like that. I think that should be a piece of information that we share with the intern. I know I keep asking you this, but when do you think that deadline would be for that to be visible?
The project is a 1-year project.
Mhm.
So the meeting we had was our first update from the consultants, and I can't recall offhand if we have set the date for the next one. I think we talked about it a bit at the meeting, but there wasn't a date that was obviously working for everybody. But I will follow up on that. And also the piece about sort of bringing EDAB and Parks is the other advisory board that has representation. We had somebody on the planning board, but they have not appeared in quite a while. But it's good to keep people updated as it goes along, in case people do have comments or questions that might be good and things that like may have been missed. Although what they've done is very comprehensive so far.
Okay, great. Yeah, keeping us posted is great.
Kristen, has Roger Cook been involved at all in any of those meetings? Have you seen him or heard from him?
Roger is on the committee with me.
Right.
I actually haven't. I talked to him a couple weeks ago, but briefly. So I actually have that on my list to do, is to give him a call and touch base with him.
Yeah, I haven't heard from him in a couple months, and
He hasn't been here.
right. So I know, I don't want to get into other stuff, but
Yeah.
I just want to make sure, one, that he's okay. It'd be good to hear from him, but two, because we do have his seat on on our board as well, so.
Yeah, I'll
So,
give him a call tomorrow.
Okay.
Great, Kristen. Thank you for the update. And you wanna have anything to share on your?
So the other half of that open space, we're doing the Master Park Senior Services. We haven't gone any further as far as, we did a lot of paperwork on grant opportunities and discussions within the Parks Department. So that's been what the committee has been doing, not the consultants. We've been looking and seeing where these fit or what we're interested in. And right now, the consultant now is looking at the outside communities to see what they have and what their feasibilities are and what they're able to handle versus, you know, what their economic base, their tax base is, their population. See what's within, I think, a 50-mile rate, or maybe it was, maybe it was 30 miles, correct me. I mean, it was probably, I think it was 30 miles. We talked about a couple different things, but that's what they're looking at right now. So we don't have a definitive date for that as of yet. We're still with the data. They just finished putting all of our different plans together and whatnot. So we're going to start building out from that, and that should be the next one. So we kind of do a TBA as if we have enough to go over, then the meeting, as we get closer to the end, they'll become closer together. But the public outreach is going to be the next thing for our committee to work on. And the public outreach will be at functions. We'll have iPads that we'll be able to pass around throughout the town to have people do community surveys and whatnot. So I'm really interested in how the outreach of all that's gonna work in community meetings. But I love the iPad idea because you can I love that. And I've never done that with any of these before when we've done community outreach. So I'm interested to see how that'll happen.
What's interesting on the community outreach, and I've seen a lot of communities start doing this, because the people that you don't often get are younger families.
That's what, yeah,
So
that was my thought too.
So what I know some communities have done is actually piggybacked off some school functions.
Mm.
And you know, obviously got the schools to
Yeah.
kind of approve, but kind of went in with the iPads while there was some function going on
Yeah.
before or after, and we're able to kind of get some
That's
parents.
great,
to do
yeah.
something.
That was my thought, Steve, standing at tops, standing at where the places
Right.
that the point is getting lots of different
Right.
groups
Graphic, yeah.
into, add in.
Mhm.
So, and it'd be nice because I think another level, we can go to some organizational meetings that I know are big in the community, but don't have a lot of say, but, inclusive groups,
Mhm.
things like that, where we can touch base to people that we know use these services, but we really want to get,
Mhm.
they're a tiny piece of that pie, but they need to have a voice and make sure we capture that with those voices. So, I think I'm excited for the next, so not a lot of movement, but things are happening. But I think it'll start probably mid to end of summer, these community outreach programs starting to go.
Awesome.
The zoning, long range, in brief, long range, like I said, we did a round table. I told them what we were working on in this board, and they also brought us, we had our second LWRP project come. And so that triggered for our board to look at it, review it. We're new to the LWRP that was, that's come out. We've only had 2 that have come through so far, but the LWRP, for in short, anything that touches water basically on the island is now we have somewhat of a home rule to be able to have a seat at the table or be able to put our input. And we had guidance laid out of what we'd like to see for the island, where before we didn't have that. So now that we have that, we get to kind of have a say whether to listen or not. But the objective is they approved it. Everything's approved through all the state agencies, so they have to work with it. But the next big-ish project, which has been nice because it kind of was a real easy one, and now this one's no real building, but something, that center island that's from where the state parks, Beaver Island State Park, the really big parking lot, and then where the road comes through when we go through, they're gonna make that whole center part into like a dog park area.
Get out, really?
Really cool, small, big park section, all this landscaping, all, like, it's gonna be really, I think, awesome.
Which area?
They're
I'm
adding
sorry.
In the big island at, you know where the big parking lot is, Vi? And then we know where we drive to go like to the golf course. There's that big island. Here's the big parking lot, and there's a big grassy area.
Oh, yes.
So when you drive through
Yeah.
here to the parking lot, or if you go around,
Okay.
they're gonna put like a huge dog park and stuff in there.
Wow.
It really, that's what I was digging for before. I was hoping I had it, cause I was,
Right.
cause it's kind of cool. And then they're gonna add some more accessible ramps off of the boardwalk.
Okay.
And then they're gonna put in some like sand pads. So, people with, special needs can get in and out, or seniors, whatever
Oh,
it is.
yeah, I've seen
in and out.
those.
Yeah,
Those are
ADA,
great.
more I should say ADA
ADA.
compliant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're also gonna put some bikes down there for ADA compliant. So we're not sure if it's just the big two bikes that you see on the sand,
Mhm.
or if they're sand water bikes. But
Wow.
that's another that's part of this whole thing. And then they're gonna add an inclusivity side playground on the opposite side where the playground is now. So the snack shack that's inside Falconwood.
Yeah.
There's a playground here. They're gonna add another one kind of mirrored on the other side.
Oh.
That's gonna be for more of a special needs, more of a Miracle League kind of, idea.
That was a really nicely done. playground that they
Inclusivity.
Put over there.
Playground. So I thought that was exciting. So I wanted,
And these are,
Share that.
these
Those
are
are nice
town
improvements.
projects?
State, right?
these are state,
These
yeah.
are state projects, okay.
And because they're close to the water, that's why it came through the
Oh,
town.
okay, gotcha.
Because the LWRP, so it
Mhm.
triggered that to come, so. I'm saying that I like that we've had two somewhat easy projects, because, we're not looking at this big structure that maybe some business wants to build on the water, and now we gotta pay, like, it's been a nice transition to figure out how we're gonna have a cohesive improvement, kind of, checklist of how we're gonna go about consistency of reviewing these projects, so,
Yeah.
it's been working out.
Great developments, very nice.
And then in zoning, there's been a lot of conversations, but in short, we've sent a letter to the town board, telling them as far as M1 zoning, right now, we don't want to add really too much guidance around that, because the board felt it was inappropriate at this time. They were looking for feedback and had been waiting for us, so, that was the decision the board made to say, hey, we're not ready to give definitive answers on where we see M1 zone going right now, for multiple reasons. And one of the biggest reasons is that we see what we're doing is right now, this is kind of our spreadsheet that we're working out on. And it's going through all the commercial zoning, and it's looking at all of our guidelines on from setbacks to this, to that, whatever, everything. So we're trying to cross-reference what actually matches, what is totally missing, what is not in there. So to preemptively make a decision on one zone before anything would be probably, I wouldn't be favorable to our town. And while doing that, we're looking at maybe condensing some zoning districts, or adding some zoning districts. So this very well could change. Like, we have an M1 and an M2, for example. They're really not that different. So is there a reason for us to have two zonings in that? So things like that. Same thing with, yeah. So that's what we're working on right now. It's been a little bit of a tedious thing, but I think it's going, think it's going.
Any update on that business we talked about in the last meeting, and we put that recommendation?
Yes.
letter
Oh,
together?
sorry. Yeah. So we wrote up that letter. Supervisor got on the phone and got a local DOT person, second or third hand down, to explain more of what the project was. That person understood more what we were looking at. We were able to give our letter to that business
Mhm.
and their engineering company. And then Pete has, as of a couple days ago, but at first, the top person was on vacation, yada, 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 but it sounds favorable and it's gonna go. And now that we have more of a local person versus the kickback letter,
Yeah.
that, it should go good, but,
Oh.
yeah, and We'll Find was very thankful,
Good.
very thankful, and really appreciate that, it felt nice, that people are helping them out.
Do they
so.
lease their existing site?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they've been leasing that, yeah. For what, I think it's been almost 20 years, I think I heard 15 or 20, probably 20 years. I know it's been a long time. They originally told me, but I want to say it was around 20
Yeah,
years.
it's
they
been
told
there.
me. Yeah, and they've
almost-
outgrown it, and their biggest problem is the people that come, one of the hardest things for them is obviously space in the front area, but when people come off that circle, and I'm probably guilty of that too, you're coming off the throughway, and when you know the system, you're bopping right around that circle, so people come short, fast, coming at them, and you're trying to get out of there. And we are in that business lot, or if you ever try to get out of Island Pharmacy, that's a really hard area to navigate. So, the more and more traffic and businesses that are just within the last few years, it's really added. It's been more difficult for them, but they've been very, very grateful. So in short, they're grateful for what we did. As soon as I haven't heard the final, I just asked the other day, Pete, if he'd heard anything, and he said, all I only know is engineer is now working with the DOT, so
That's great.
things should be going good.
Yeah, that's
But
good news.
when I find the final, I plan on stopping in there, and when I know there's been a decision, and get an update, and I will bring that back to you guys.
Thank you. Thank you for all the updates, by the way.
Yeah, we could probably just go in a round table. So just so everybody knows, Jose handed Sarah and I a couple resumes of folks that are interested in, one specifically said EDAB, another listed 3 different committees they'd like to be involved with. So Pete's gonna have an initial conversation with the one, John Faso is the name. I don't know if anybody, I know him pretty well, obviously daughters, right?
Yeah, baseball.
So, yeah. But he's also going to look at, and he's gonna call Ryan Clark, so.
Okay.
And find out kind of what's going on with his situation, because he's been getting the messages and the emails. We want to make sure we have, obviously active board members.
Yeah.
We put Leanne on the spot. She would be more than happy to move over. She's been actually voting the last couple months because we've been short people anyway, but we would.
And
move
I
her
felt like
over.
there was a full, here
Yeah.
because we had everybody on Zoom. So I was like, okay, they gotta, I should have asked first, sorry.
No, we should have probably mentioned at the beginning.
Do you know the second guy? Or girl? I shouldn't say
Uh,
the second applicant.
Kurt Herman. I don't know who that is.
Can we do we want to add those names or not add? I don't think we should be adding their
No.
names to the minutes.
I don't
Okay.
think we need.
No, we don't need
Just
to.
a
We're just,
mention that-
we're just having a
We have
discussion.
2 applicants.
Discussion about board members and attendance and possible openings. I think that's.
I
all
think
we need
someone
to do.
should,
We
reach
can
out
watch
to
that.
Roger.
Well, Kristen said she's going.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been at a couple events, and I know he's in town, so.
Actually,
Okay.
Jose, did he respond to you, or he didn't say anything to me about Ryan?
Well, he did, I got a text from him now, so,
From Ryan?
no, from Jose saying he's gonna call Ryan.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I said, we'll probably have this
can I-
conversation after you leave at 8, so
okay. Okay, good.
texting him.
And just a point of clarification, there were 2 points before Jose left. One was on whether or not we needed a second to a second, and we don't. So once you make a motion, that's considered the first one, and then the second person supports that motion, that's the second. So I'm striking Justin off for the second, because we don't need the third. Justin would technically
Well,
be the
technically, the
third.
first was Jen.
Yeah.
Jen was the motion. Sarah made the suggestion that Jen make a motion. So Jen said, okay, I'll
Oh,
make that
okay.
motion. And then Justin seconded it. So
Yeah, no,
by
no.
proxy,
Yeah.
Jen made
Okay.
the motion.
Yeah.
So I
think
will,
Sarah
I will
just
make
went
that
for
correction.
it, yeah.
So Jen made the motion and then Justin did the second.
Second, correct.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. And Sarah, just so that you know, you can also make a motion if that's what you want to do. you, as a voting member, you can also make a motion. You don't have to hand
As
it
the
off. to someone
chair.
else.
And as a chair, you could also
Yeah.
ask somebody to make a motion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what you were doing.
That's always.
You asked her to make a motion,
Yeah.
gave her the language, and then she
Yeah.
said, "Yep,
Yeah.
So this is kind of, so
Yeah.
yeah, since we have a real estate, some other insider people here, somebody's, and I don't know if it's just a rumor flying around town, but people are saying that Aldi's found a different site they're gonna locate on now, and
No way.
I don't know.
No.
All right, okay, good.
I could,
It's
And
not,
then
are you
the other
saying no,
point,
it's not true, or are you saying no, you don't?
I don't believe that that's true.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah,
I
I
don't,
don't believe that.
it was floating around on social media, but I don't believe it to be true until I see it in writing. So,
So just don't write it. That's not how this,
Yeah.
that's not how these
Yeah.
transactions.
tell them I have to come back.
Tell them,
Just
right,
push
tell
it,
them
though.
Aldi's
You don't
is
get
going,
the first
Aldi's is
opportunity.
going to the, Holiday Inn.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. We'll start
That'll
that.
There you
really
go.
scare some kids.
The planning board on Monday, we've got the Andersons, at the old Adrian's plan, so that's gonna be on planning board for Monday, so they're moving right along. And the old Knights of Columbus, we got.
On Whitehaven.
plans- Yep.
Who's building the,
The
bar?
That's gonna be a banquet facility.
Town cafe, or town.
Wait, where is it
tavern,
gonna be a
the barn.
banquet facility?
Where the.
That's
old
right
Knights of
behind the,
Columbus is, Across
Knights of
from.
Columbus? It's
Oh,
like-
no, that's.
Sheriff
something
next
Yeah, they're like, more
Um,
BizFlex.
Like in front of.
I know where the
Well,
Knights of
right.
Columbus is, yeah, but
Kinda nice.
they closed that and they're gonna open up.
Oh, yeah, it's been closed for, well, maybe about a year and a half.
No,
Um,
this
but
is,
Knights
you're at the
moved to
cop
bottom
shop,
of
you pass
Stevens,
the cop.
old church that they redid,
The
they
Columbus,
went
and you're
there.
right behind
And
it.
so,
Okay.
Yeah,
Pinto bought that building and they're going to,
Are they coming in?
they have some really
There is-
beautiful plans
it's
there.
like,
so.
Oh, that's
Martin
exciting.
that'll be on Monday.
Marstelli's own a little bit.
Just having a venue opportunity is like.
Yeah,
is an
I agree.
exciting idea, yeah.
There.
That'll be on the, Monday's planning board. I'm excited to see that.
before we close out, Jose said something else before he left, and that was about voting members of EDAB because there was a position open. Justin, was that your name that was being floated around to be added as a voting member?
He already is.
Vienna.
It would be me because I'm the alternate.
Oh, Vienna.
Right.
Yes.
So you've been moved from an alternate to you're still
It's just a
alternate.
suggestion at the moment.
So how it,
Thank
so
you.
if we don't, so if a regular member is not here, alternates can vote in,
Yep.
at that meeting. So, I mean, the last couple of meetings Vanda's been here, we haven't had a full board of 9, so she's been voting. Now, we're
Yep.
talking, yeah, so we've had a conversation about, moving her if there's an opening that move from a regular member.
First steps.
Yeah, but the town board
Okay.
has to make, that appointment.
Just to make
we
the
can't-
appointment.
We
Yeah,
can't-
that's what I
we
thought.
can't do
Okay.
that, Right.
All right.
So
So
I have
I'm gonna strike that then from any of the minutes because I wasn't clear on what was
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah, I don't think
Okay.
there wasn't any action.
So speaking of the
Okay.
minutes and Jose, one of the things we just ended on that painting box thing and him saying, Felicia,
Yeah.
send us all the minutes and then I'll be able to go to the board. Is he able to go to the board with that then, or does he have to wait until next month when we come together again and approve it?
No, he could go because we already made it.
We could send them the draft minutes and see.
Yeah, it's fine.
New York's got a really weird, and I don't know if it filters down to us, but there's a lot of best practice or suggestions out there for a lot of boards that even if you haven't approved the last month's minutes, you should still make them available within a week, 10 days, or of the meeting
Yeah.
online, even if they're still drafts. So I think he can
Okay.
take it.
He can take it with okay, good.
Right.
Because I didn't want to hold that up. I think we're all excited about it.
Yeah,
So
but
I'd like
he
to
has
see.
to have that in by next Thursday. So by Thursday at 11 next week, he has to have that.
Okay, all right, great.
Make
All
it
right,
Right.
great.
The town does not need to approve our minutes. We approve our own minutes.
No, I
So
know. I
you
just
can
wondered
take
if
what we
the town
have,
was-
yeah.
I was just wondering if the town needed our approved minutes in order for them to view them as official minutes. That's all.
No, he just needs a
Yeah.
record of
Oh,
us
okay.
making the motion, so
Gotcha.
we can go
Record
and
of the motion.
secure the,
Mhm.
Okay.
whatever approval they need for us to.
That's usually
Take
where
the
I just
process.
type up in the past, it's been 3 or 4 sentences
Great.
and put it in a separate side thing, because then it will hopefully get scanned and it'll get added in, or when he goes to the workshop, he has to.
Right. The other thing is, it was in last month's, we were wondering what our mission statement
Yeah.
is, and I put it on the bottom of the agenda.
Yeah.
So
take a look at
Yeah.
it.
Thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
finding
Thank
that. Yeah,
you.
and we plan to have that every month, and I suppose I think it makes our conversation. I can't even say how many times in our meetings, especially last year, but even came up.
What's our objective?
Yeah,
here?
yeah, and so I think having the minutes, the mission right on our agenda is helpful to come back to every single time we're in a discussion about what to do with anything. We could say, well, does it, and I think here it really helps us correlate and make sure we're staying on track. So thank you, Dave, for pulling that up.
And just for Bob Christman's sake, I'll just ask about all these. Has there been any update on all these?
It's Bob asking at the door. I'm gonna say, no. I'm gonna say
Okay.
there's no update on all these.
But
Yeah.
the property in question, that the old Welcome Center down at Staley is still the property they're supposed to be building on at some point.
We approved that. The plan's approved, everything's ready to go. It's a matter of them,
It's the sellers that.
Yeah.
figuring out the financial
Yeah.
burdens and taxes and sale.
So Justin,
It's just- They have like liens.
can
and
you,
stuff,
do you
or-
have this
Yeah, some
electronically?
obligations.
Yeah.
Okay,
definitely.
you could just email
Not an
it to me, and
agreement.
then when I get that email from
Who's gonna be
Cheryl
responsible for the debt?
about the steps or for that project, I'll email the group these
Okay.
two things
Yeah.
for everybody to review.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay?
Great.
All right, I believe that's the meeting. We didn't,
I make a motion to adjourn.
So
Second?
you moved to adjourn. Okay, and
I
who was
did.
the second?
Sarah,
Who was the second?
Sarah, Dave was the
Okay.
first.
I think you were gonna
Okay,
start
thank
talking. I'm
you.
like, all right, well, let's adjourn.
No, I was gonna say-
That's good. I think 8:30 is a good.
time,
I think
right?
that's
Yeah,
good. I
yeah.
think that's good.
We might
We
have been
did,
pushing it
we
too
did a
much
good
saying that.
job.
Eight's a stretch.
Yeah,
8:30 is a lot better than 9.
that's right, that's right.
When is our next meeting? Does anybody have the date of the next meeting?
June 12th.
June
We put
12th,
those on the
alright.
agendas too.
Yeah,
Hint, hint.
yeah.
All right.
Next meeting, Thursday, June 12th. Thanks, Dave.
All right, these minutes will be out to you in about 15 minutes.
Thank you,
Sasha,
Felicia.
Felicia,
Thank you,
yeah.
Kristen.
Take
also.
care,
You're
everybody.
welcome.
Job.
It's good seeing you.
I
Bye.
want that job.